From the newest and fastest green way to travel to the sea in LA, to the Florida Keys and a powerful new engine designed to keep our waters clean. See how blood science is diagnosing disease and mind science is rehabilitating lives. Plus, a most unlikely partnership in the oil fields of Texas to conserve nature. It's all coming up. I'm John Holden. Welcome to Earth. We're starting off our program here in Los Angeles, California, and the world-famous Santa Monica Pier. You know, millions of people come here each year to enjoy the sand and surf, but millions of people also means gridlock, traffic congestion. Well, now there's a faster, much more green way to travel, all the way from downtown LA to the beach. In the early 1900s, the iconic red cars of the Pacific Electric Railway took travelers from Los Angeles to the beach of Santa Monica. After it ended, this busy travel corridor often became a congested nightmare for drivers trying to get to work or relax by the sea. But the 2016 opening of the Metro Expo rail station in downtown Santa Monica changed all that, bringing rail passengers all the way to the sea for the first time in over half a century.
We immediately saw the demand, the desire, and the need for this type of transit because the crowds were incredible from day one.
And this greener way to travel and live is now taking a much more important role in building our nation's infrastructure. Sustainability has become a key component for the positive impact it can have on the surrounding community.
Sustainability has been very important to LA Metro for years. In fact, we are a leader in using sustainability as we build out our transit projects. We've done things like use recycled building materials when we build our projects, reclaiming stormwater and capturing it so it doesn't flow into the ocean. And also when we build our buildings, building them with energy efficiency in mind.
So when it came time to complete the final leg of the Expo line to Santa Monica, Metro partnered with a construction company with a global commitment to sustainability and green building. With over 200 LEED certified projects, including offices of New York's Empire State Building and the Ascend Amphitheater in Nashville, Skanska USA believes that no matter how big the project, it can be built green.
Everything we do at Skanska comes back to our purpose. We build for a better society. We deliver hospitals, schools, entertainment venues, transportation systems, electric grids, all the things that are important to a vibrant community.
In this case, it was the building of the final Phase 2 extension of the Metro Expo line to Santa Monica, the very first Envision Platinum light rail line, and a pioneering effort that has helped establish green as the norm in many markets nationwide.
It's been a long time coming. You know, the infrastructure projects didn't have a sustainable rating system, and Envision now provides that. It's very important to us as a company. You know, we like to really emphasize sustainability, local jobs, local people, the community, sustainable communities. It's what we build, how we build them in conjunction with the people that live in the areas that our projects are being built.
The Expo Phase 2 is a 7-mile extension of the 80-station Metro rail system in West LA, adding 7 new stations, 7 bridges, and 14 crossings along the same path as the old Pacific Electric Railway, from the Phase 1's existing station in Culver City to downtown Santa Monica. So it used to be a 2-hour gridlock journey for commuters to and from the downtown Los Angeles station is now a relaxing 45-minute ride. You simply jump on board the Metro here at the Culver City station. And 7 stops later, get off here at the Santa Monica station, where you're only steps away from the 3rd Street Promenade, the famous Santa Monica Pier, and of course the beautiful Pacific Ocean.
There's also been a great economic boom here in the area where the city's responded with a brand new Colorado Boulevard. You can see the restaurants, apartments, and hotels being built as we speak behind me. It's really done a lot for the neighborhood.
And this commitment to sustainability is evident at each of the 6 stations along the way to downtown Santa Monica. And all along the route, Metro's public art program displays original art at each station.
Simply by the transit presence of a station gives a neighborhood an opportunity to revitalize in a way that it wouldn't otherwise have.
From the porous pavement at Bundy to the native plants you see here behind me, this project is sustainable from every aspect along the alignment.
It's really helping the communities grow and leaving a lasting project that really the community that we're building in can benefit from.
The first train to the sea in over half a century brings a lot of good things to commuters in Southern California. An appreciation for art and nature, a commitment to sustainability, but most of all, it's just fun to not being stuck in traffic. Our next stop, the oil fields of Texas. Here in Texas and throughout the planet, a real challenge faces us today. How do we meet the world's soaring demand for energy while at the same time address the growing danger of climate change? Well, it's a challenge that's being taken very seriously. And here in the oil fields of Texas, an unlikely partnership has occurred. So come with me, let's take a look. It's a gem of nature in southeast Texas, where monarch butterflies congregate in the spring, and millions of migratory songbirds use as a resting place in their journey. The Columbia Bottomlands could be called nature's paradise, but it's rapidly disappearing as the human population and the city of Houston expands. Where there used to be 700,000 acres of natural forest, only 147,000 acres remains today. As a nonprofit group dedicated to conserving land and water, the Nature Conservancy of Texas was recently able to purchase and protect 1,900 acres of this natural forest, thanks to the largest private donation the group has ever received to buy land in Texas, part of a $14 million preservation gift.
Well, this is truly a gem of nature. It's not only a very beautiful natural area of hardwoods, forests, and ponds, marshes, and grasslands, it's also an extremely important place for the migratory birds that come across the great expanses of water in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean on their journey north.
And the benefactor behind this large donation to preserve nature? Bhp Billiton, one of the world's largest global resources companies. While some might see this pairing of an Australian mining and oil and gas company with a land conservation group as a bit unusual, it's a partnership that is now helping to preserve Earth's natural resources.
Bhp Billiton takes climate change very seriously, and we couldn't be more proud of our opportunity to partner with the Nature Conservancy to protect and preserve this beautiful, pristine natural habitat just outside of Houston. In our opinion, nature and business really need to come together and coexist in a complementary way. And what's important is for public, private, and non-government organizations to come together and to work together to ensure the resilience of the planet.
Since 2001, BHP has donated more than $2 billion to community projects worldwide and more than $178 million last fiscal year to support improvements in and around the communities where they operate. But it was also important for this energy giant to include a donation that would specifically benefit land conservation in a state where their petroleum business is headquartered. In this case, the state of Texas, where Bhp Billiton has about 2,000 employees and several operations, including drilling for oil here at the Eagle Ford Shale in South Texas.
Well, as you can see, John, we work and we operate in an area of great natural beauty and abundant natural resources. And My main responsibility is to be sure that we leave this area at least as good or better when we leave than it was when we first came.
This dedication to new low emissions technology and procedures in oil drilling is especially evident in a pilot program that BHP has initiated called the Intelligent Well Pad Program. In effect, it's a digital oil field solution to monitoring all aspects of its operations at multiple well pads across the entire shale from one central surveillance center. For instance, technicians used to manually collect data and perform daily inspections by driving on remote roads to each individual well pad.
Whereas today, it's all done digitally in real time, and it's all done from one location. From here at the Carnes state-of-the-art surveillance center, located in the middle of the oil field with access to all of the well pads.
The Eagleford Shale that we have for BHP Billiton that we operate has roughly around 540 wells. And so this center here can actually now look across all of the field and can actually look at all 540 wells as we're producing them today.
With telecommunications, Wi-Fi, and a video matrix of PCs and wall-mounted televisions that monitor video cameras installed at each well pad, surveillance technicians are now able to remotely monitor well pads and automatically collect daily data in real time. As we move to address a 2 degrees Celsius warmer world, water preservation, renewable energy sources, and the preservation of nature by groups like the Nature Conservancy,
as well as the transition to lower emissions and extracting fossil fuels, it's going to all play an important role for energy in our planet's future. You know, one of the issues affecting our planet and its inhabitants is the future of healthcare. A true evolution is taking place today, and our healthcare systems and hospital labs are undergoing a massive transformation to adapt to a new reality. Let's take a look.
Today, healthcare is in the middle of a seismic shift. The reasons are many: an aging population, increased chronic conditions, rising medical costs, and a constant need for better access to affordable health care. But there's always been a key player in the success of healthcare. You could call it the unsung hero that impacts our very health and well-being, the diagnostic laboratory.
Diagnostic testing is crucial to any healthcare discussion simply because lab tests influence about 70% of patient care decisions. Think about that. 7 out of 10 patient care decisions rely on the physicians ordering the right test to order, receiving accurate results, and receiving them in a timely manner. Really, the lab provides invaluable medical information that will enable the doctors to establish diagnosis, make treatment decisions, follow their patients, and it all happens here in the clinical lab.
Diagnostic testing is something every one of us can relate to because we've all had it done at some point. But while most people may think of a lab test as just a tube of blood that is collected, that sample is really the start of a journey that will determine if there is a health concern and what treatment is needed.
Imagine a situation that you're with a loved one who suddenly experienced chest pain, nausea, lightheadedness, and is taken to the emergency room. That's actually a life or death situation, and you need to know as soon as possible if a heart attack has occurred. At the clinical lab, such as here at UC Irvine, the lab team immediately goes to action to find out the cause. All of this in 30 to 60 minutes.
The accuracy and speed of results provided by diagnostic testing is critical. This not only means success for the entire health network, but also delivering the right diagnosis and treatment for the patient.
Diagnostic errors account annually for 40 to 80,000 deaths in the United States, and for up to 58% of the malpractice claims. We at Beckman Coulter provide critical diagnostic tools to physicians who have to diagnose the patient. A high focus of ours is on continuous innovation to get better and better diagnostic tools into the hands of those doctors.
It requires constant innovation in the laboratory to improve patient outcomes as well as reduce costs. And in this case, a partnership in innovation to help doctors and laboratories deal with the increasing volume of lab tests in a more effective and accurate way. This is what Beckman Coulter has been doing for over 80 years.
Beckman Coulter, the company, is actually formed by two very famous, innovative scientists that actually wanted to help improve mankind through science. The company was formed 81 years ago, and many of the innovations that they invented in their garages are now used all over the world. It was basically formation of a fantastic technical industry around diagnostic testing.
Diagnostic innovations like the Prostate Health Index, or PHI, a lab test that can now provide the probability of having prostate cancer, the #2 cancer killer in men, whose PSA is slightly elevated and who have a normal physical examination. That's why healthcare networks are seeing the value in partnering with innovative technology companies that have been part of their day-to-day operations for decades. Networks like PCL Alverno.
We've partnered with Beckman Coulter, for example, and implemented well over 180 pieces of equipment in a relatively short period of time, almost unheard of short period of time, a total of 6 months. And we did that in all 30 of our plus testing locations throughout the system, and it really has enabled us to provide the kind of care that we think is important for our patients and physicians.
It's easy to understand the importance of the diagnostic lab in the overall healthcare ecosystem because its work is at the center of almost every care decision medical professionals make. The diagnostic lab is truly
the foundation of patient care. It's a tall order, and one that many diagnostic labs are fulfilling today by partnering with innovative diagnostic solution providers like Beckman Coulter
to build the labs of tomorrow today. Next up, correspondent Aubrey Aquino in Florida with a major breakthrough in the treatment of addictions.
Thanks, John. An addiction is a condition that often carries a major stigma. Addictions are not only physical things we can consume like drugs or alcohol, but can also include virtually anything from activities like gambling to a seemingly harmless item such as chocolate. And it's estimated that worldwide, 246 million people suffer from addiction. In the United States, there are about 14,000 plus addiction and mental health treatment facilities, and that number is growing every day. Millions of people are being treated every year, but many more are in need of treatment, which greatly increases the need for additional rehab facilities. Dr. Paul Kenny is the director of the Experimental Therapeutics Institute at Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York City.
So addiction and mental health issues are some of the biggest problems that we face here in the US and other developed nations. And in emerging economies, it's the same problem.
There is no quick and simple remedy for drug dependence. However, some experts believe we need to invest in long-term care with medical evidence-based solutions. And one way to do that is through brain science.
And we know now that the brain responds in dramatic ways when illicit drugs and even legal drugs are used. There's massive remodeling that occurs in the brain, and we have to understand those types of changes.
Here in South Florida, the Florida House Experience is the only full-service mental health and addiction treatment center innovating the use of neurorehabilitation. Established in 2001, the Florida House Experience is a 220-bed medical and behavioral institution for mental health and substance abuse.
Our mission and vision is to provide the best quality care, integrating behavioral health, medicine, as well as something new and unique that's cutting edge that can change the way addiction is treated in this country.
I'm about to measure this patient's brain. I'm prepping the skull and the face.
At Florida House Experience, they're finding new ways to treat addiction and mental health using a neurorehabilitation model. Quantitative EEG-guided neurofeedback incorporates science and outcome measurements into a historically unscientific industry and sets them apart from most other substance abuse treatment centers in the country.
We're looking at electrical potential within the brain, and we do brain imaging in order to get a handle of where abreactions are occurring within the brain. So we look at hyperactivity, too much activity, and hypoactivity, not enough activity. So we measure their progress.
Florida House Experience is not only innovating a new way to treat addictions and mental illness, they're also finding encouraging results.
The people that receive quantitative EEG guided neurofeedback actually have a greater chance of getting and staying clean and sober than those patients that do not receive the services.
What drives all of us is that we can change people's lives and really impact them in a long-term way, not just give them a short-term fix, but really affect them long-term in terms of their health and wellness.
John Doe checked into Florida House Experience a year ago. And since successfully completing the program, his life has changed for the better.
I've been trying to conquer my alcoholism on my own through AA for the last 4 or 5 years, and nothing worked. But when they came here, they had psychiatrists, they had neurofeedback, and they diagnosed, probably within 2 weeks of me being here, that I had a serious dual diagnosis.
The true mission is to change the lives of people. Giving people that hope is everything. It gives me a sense of peace, hope, to see people, you know, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years out saying, you know, you saved my life.
I have more hope now than I have for my entire life because my mind is totally clear of alcohol and drugs. And that hasn't been the case for about the last 35 years. So to have a year under my belt now, I can see the world in a different way.
Addiction and mental illness are a growing epidemic, but if treated, the results can be life-altering. Now it's time to head to Key West.
Thanks, Aubrey. You know, nobody enjoys more what our Earth has to offer than those who live and breathe adventure here in the Florida Keys. Of course, we all want power and precision on the water, but we also want a clean way to do it. Well, we've got some clean engine technology to help us do just that. Let's take a look.
For nearly 50 years, Lee Murray and his family have been running a full-service marina in Key West, Florida, selling, chartering, storing, and repairing boats and engines for the locals and tourists to enjoy the pristine waters of the Florida Keys. Sure, it's a business, but mostly it's a chosen lifestyle to embrace his own love for the water.
I would bet anybody in the world that I've had the greatest life in the world growing up here in the Keys and being able to boat since I was 6 or 7 years old. There's a lot of birds and fish and, you know, turtles and stingrays and all the stuff back here, all the natural habitat that, you know, that's what makes it part of the beautiful, you know, of the Florida Keys that we have.
But Lee Murray is the first to admit he has great concern for his water environment and keeping it clean, especially with ever-increasing boat traffic even here in the laid-back Keys. It means a constant search for improvement in the boat engines he sells, engines that will offer more power but cleaner with less emissions to keep this boating environment clean for today and generations to come.
We're just trying to do as best we can to keep it as clean as it is.
And Lee is not alone in his concern for cleaner ways to enjoy the water world around him. Captain C.A. Richardson is also an outdoor enthusiast and environmentalist. He's a fishing guide and host for an award-winning national fishing show called Flats Class TV. But he also educates viewers on the newest technology and boat designs for greener boating.
It's a technical how-to show, and we're fishing areas that are environmentally sensitive. So engine technology and innovation that makes that experience that much better without leaving a negative footprint on the environment, it is paramount.
The same can be said for boat builder Captain Chris Peterson of Hells Bay Boatworks in Florida, a team of dedicated fishermen, outdoorsmen, and adventurers. His visionary dream has always been to build the finest fishing boat ever conceived, a boat that would revolutionize the shallow water fishing industry.
My passion is fishing in clean places. Where our boats go is some of the absolutely most pristine waters on the saltwater coast, but they're also very fragile. So it's our duty really to build something that has a very small footprint and leaves virtually no trace of having been there.
This constant search for innovation in boating technology has been the lifeblood of Evinrude engines. It's been a name synonymous with our world passion for boating for over 100 years.
In fact, Evinrude invented the outboard engine and has spent over a century creating, crafting, rethinking, and reimagining the outboard engine to better fit a boater's needs.
And you're constantly looking for new ways so that people can enjoy the water and enjoy it in a responsible way, whether that's using less fuel, making less emissions, making the boat easier to drive, easier to take care of. All those things bring the love of the water into the heart of our business.
And what makes this all possible? E-Tech direct injection technology, where only the exact amount of fuel needed is injected directly into the cylinder for the greatest power and lowest emissions on the high seas. This includes the unprecedented engine technology of the E-Tech G2 outboard motor, which engineers chose to design by starting with a clean sheet of paper.
Well, we had pretty big goals to start out with. We wanted to be better than 15% improvement. And in the world of engines, that's hard to do. Car companies chase 2 and 3%. So 15% was a lofty goal, and we knew that to do that, we were going to have to start over. The key to that starting over was developing an engine around direct injection, not putting direct injection on an existing engine. That's why the clean sheet of paper.
And for these fishermen and boaters who make their living from the sea, this innovation in clean engine technology is key to cleaner waters.
It was the most environmentally friendly motor that you could hang on the back of your boat. And to me, that was an important message to send to my audience.
With this new technology and newer boats and cleaner places, I think we can actually leave a better place for our kids than what we have today.
Innovation and clean technology. It's not only giving us the power to get out and enjoy Earth's watery wonders, it's keeping our boating environment clean for today and generations to come. I'm John Holden. Thanks for watching.